Okay, perfect. So, okay, so you guys are not required to turn on your screens. I would love to see your happy faces, but you're not required to. So I'll just kind of jump in with like a brief introduction about myself, and then tonight we'll just go over the syllabus and kind of some other like expectations of the class and such like that. I'm Professor Anderson. I have been with Lynn Benton for 3 years now. This is my probably, I don't know, 6th term, no, more than that, probably my 9th term teaching. So I love teaching this class. This is one of the classes that I was hired to teach. Part of my background, I have 2 associate's degrees from Chemeketa Community College. Then I transferred to Oregon State, and I majored in business management as well as marketing and human resources. And then I got my master's, my MBA with a thesis in organizational behavior and a major in business management from there as well. So I have kind of a little bit of experience from whether it's marketing management, all sorts of kind of stuff. So I feel like I have kind of an interesting perspective as far as what I specialize in. I do not work full-time for Lynn Benton. I teach most every term, but I work full-time for the state. My job there is as a fiscal analyst. So I'm a senior analyst. My job is unique in that I work for the Oregon Health Authority and DHS. My job is I work very closely with legislation, with developing bills. So we're getting ready to go into long session right now for anybody that's political or pays attention to that. So I do a lot of work with pricing of legislative bills, whether that's House bills or Senate bills. So I get to see a lot of kind of laws coming to fruition and helping with pricing and accuracy and submitting those. But one of the reasons that I like teaching this class is I work in Excel all day, 8 hours. So you guys will probably hate it by the end of the term. I'm a total Excel nerd and I love this stuff. So we'll kind of go over the syllabus and what to expect and things like that. But I want to tell all of you who are here right now that this class will probably be a really tricky one for a couple reasons. The first is this class, the way that it's taught and put together and designed, it's not lecture based. So the way that it's structured is we get assignments through Excel where you're going to go through, and some of them you're always going to get a template. You're never going to be asked to create some wild spreadsheet with your own imagination. So it'll be similar to the assignments that you had in BA 101A, where you'll get the template, you'll give some written instructions, and then you just follow those. With that said, the ones that you did in BA 101A are very, very easy. These ones are going to be a lot trickier. The first few weeks of the term, I always feel bad because I can tell students by like week 4, like, yeah, I got this. This is going really well. And then week 5, we start hitting some complex formulas and everyone starts freaking out. So what I always tell people is, and in my opinion, working with Excel every day and the job that I do not do like accounting type stuff in Excel to where I'm, trying to balance a sheet. I'm going through thousands and thousands of lines of data to pull queries and get information and run pivot tables in order to balance and price things. And then sometimes I have to go on these missions to find if we have missing dollars or something doesn't balance. I have to find it, make it balance. So I use a lot of complex formulas. This class, I think, in my opinion, so, and even though this is recording, I have to be careful how I say it. I think that the formulas and the information you learn in this class is very complex and probably not something most of you are going to use unless you're going into something more like what I'm doing, more analyst work, or going into accountant. So some of you I know are business majors, and that's maybe not your path you're heading down. So before you freak out when you start getting into these formulas where they're kind of tricky, just know that I'm here to support you as much as I can. You're going to learn some pretty intense formulas and stuff in Excel and concepts. And I expect you guys to try your best, but I don't expect this to be, I don't want this to seem like it's a cakewalk for you guys and to be frustrated if you don't get it. So a lot of students will struggle, especially probably the last, because it kind of goes in a bell curve. The first 4 or 5 weeks, totally cake. You guys will probably be able to be okay with it. Week 6, 7, and 8, really rough formulas, very long, complex formulas with multiple lines of rows and data. So those I'm going to go through and I'll do my best to explain those to you. And then weeks 10, 11, 12, we're working more with pivot tables and graphs, and that's a lot easier. So it'll kind of go in a bell curve. It'll get hard, but just know that the end of the term gets a little bit easier. As far as the assignments themselves, this class is it has a very intense caseload. So you're going to have at least 2 to 3 assignments every week. Just like BA 101A, you guys will have a group project that you'll have to do. And that's what the Mike Spikes is. I've already gotten several emails for how Mike Spikes works. So we'll jump into that momentarily when we get into the syllabus. But so there'll be at least 2 Excel assignments a week, plus your Mike Spikes write-ups. I would say if you guys are falling behind or having any issues with the Excel assignments, those are going to be more pressing and take a lot more time than the Mike Spikes. The Mike Spikes is really just kind of like you did the group work in BA 101A. It's going to be like a brief summary paragraph. I don't expect a novel, 250 to 300 words. And I'll say this, compared to the group work that you guys did before, Mike Spikes has a lot more moving parts and levers in it. It's what it is it's a simulated game. And so you guys will basically, I'll dive more into this, like I said, but basically you guys are going to run a mock company and there's a lot more levers and moving parts. So it's a lot more to write about. So you guys won't have a problem writing that much. But I would say if you had to focus on one or the other for the week, focus more on the Excel. You're still required to do the group project, but the group project is not going to be nearly as time intensive. Okay. Has anybody worked with Excel before? Or raise your guys' hands? Does anyone have any Excel experience? Or are you guys completely So you guys will feel like pros at the end of the term. I once had a student who he had to retake the class, and so I was the professor he retook it with. And I have his write-up somewhere that I kept, but he basically said, the one thing I loved about this class, and this was, I quote, I couldn't make this up if I tried. He said, I now know how to use Excel under pressure, such as if someone was holding a gun to my head. So he really learned how to work Excel. It was kind of, So it was a very honest feedback, I should say, that I got about the class. So you guys will definitely be more advanced by the time this class is over. So, and I'll show you guys other little tips and tricks and shortcuts and things like that if you guys are interested too. As far as how the class is going to go, I'm not going to hold weekly lectures because there really isn't anything for me to lecture about. In class, when I would be in person, really the only thing that I would lecture about in class would be what kind of assignments we had coming up that week, which I'll send that to you guys in an announcement instead. And then the theme that we're working on, such as, let's say we're working on the graphing part. I would say, this can be really important in a company with measuring inventory, or this can be really important to measure and document, how much of your budget are you using in a certain amount of time. And so I would more or less give an example of what we were learning that week and how it could apply to real world, which I will still do, but I'll do it in announcements. So that's where this class is not lecture based. There's just not as much to cover. It's much more task oriented and learning that way. Because I noticed that when I taught the class and I would sit at the front of the room and I would pull Excel up on the board and I would basically walk people through the assignments. I noticed that my grades in that class were actually poor because people would just sit there, follow me, and they wouldn't actually learn how to do it. So when it came for the exams, they had no clue how to do it. So I let you guys take the lead. All assignments will always be due on Sundays unless I tell you differently. If you catch a mistake, sometimes in the shell, the dates will get changed. If you catch it, it's always going to be Sunday and I'll reopen it up. So please let me know. You guys, as far as turning assignments in late, I don't accept any late work. I know there's a few familiar faces here who've had me before. The reason I don't do late work is I've caught too many people plagiarizing and using other people's assignments. Or people who just, I felt like they were trying to be sneaky, and I don't care for that. So I'm definitely about academic integrity. So that's why I don't allow late work. It's not because I'm a heinous person and don't, the other thing is that if you're going to turn an assignment in late, such as a death in the family, a car accident, your computer broke, something like that, and there's a barrier to access, then I will grant more time, but I need to know about it ahead of time. Don't wait until the next day and say, oh, it's late because my computer broke. Well, you had a phone and you could email me. So, and if you don't, then you need to find a way to send me a carrier pigeon or a smoke signal or some way that you can communicate to me that your computer doesn't work and you have no access. Because, but I don't grant late work. Like if Moodle is down, take a screenshot or take a picture with your phone, email it to me. Because I have no way of knowing when you got on if Moodle was down unless the the campus Moodle folks send me an email and let me know. And that does happen from time to time where it's down, but I need to see a picture of it in order for me to grant you access to that quiz or that test or, any other assignment that might have been due. So does anyone have any general questions yet before we jump in and kind of review the syllabus?
So if the quizzes for the lectures, are they like the quiz is going to be based off of the Excel assignments, or how are the quizzes going to be set up?
Yep, so the quizzes will be set up typically multiple choice. They'll be set up to go over basically the assignments that you learned that week. So it might say something like, the letter B up on the scroll under this type, does this mean italics, font, bold, or whatever? So it'll be things like that where you already learned it doing the assignment. I'm not going to throw any weird, tricky stuff. The only thing I will say, and I haven't had time to do it, but I am going to go in and make that change, is the quiz that I give you guys, it's only 10 questions and it's only 10 minutes long. And I don't feel like that's enough time for people to really, because I realize some people are more processors, some people just can't, whatever. So, and I'm not going to judge people on that. So I will extend the time because that's a lot of feedback that I get from people in this class. And is that the time is too short, but the way that this class is set up is we get kind of like a pre-built shell, and we can add and change what we want, but I need to go in and still do that. So I just knew I had time this week, so that's why I haven't gotten to it. So I will do that, but I'll give you guys 15 minutes because that seems to be the spot as far as tests go. All quizzes and tests, I leave open note, open book, because I think that's only fair. You're welcome to pull in any Excel assignments that you've worked on. If you feel like, okay, I need to look at that to reference what that means, please feel free. The quizzes are going to be more of the functionality, like what does this button in the ribbon do? What does this do? That's what the quizzes will be like. The tests are going to be like the assignments, where let's say we work on graphing and doing a basic formula and a sum if. You're going to see all of those in the timed exam that we do. So there will be an element of a graph, there will be an element of doing a sum if function, etc. Like BA 101A, I do 3 tests instead of a typical midterm and then a final. And I do that for a couple reasons. Is that A, I think that it does a better job of spreading out the distribution of your guys' grades. I feel like it's a lot to put 40, 50% on just 2 tests, because then it's a lot more pressure on you guys. And this is a very work intensive class. And there's a lot of concepts you're going to go over in Excel. And I don't want you guys to feel like you have to memorize all of that information. So it's a lot. So I'd rather do that. I feel like it distributes the point range better. And it also takes a little less pressure. If the tests are only worth 15% or, whatever that is, it's a lot better, if you do worse on it than if it was worth 30%. So I once had when I was taking my MBA, I had a professor where it was only 2 assignments. It was your midterm and then your final project. And so that kind of pressure made me really respect breaking out the distribution, because if you hose one thing with a class with 2 assignments and it's toast. So anyway, so with that said, is there any other general type questions so far?
Sorry.
Yeah,
I have questions. I had questions about the assignment. So it says to create single sign-on. So this means like just going into the Excel and creating it, or?
No, so that's just your single sign-on. So if you guys are new to the school or whatever, but if you can access the course, you've probably already done your single sign-on. It's usually like when you're first, the reason why that's in there still is I leave it because in the event we have a new student that maybe have credits like BA 101A and then they're transferring in, but they haven't done it, I just leave that in there in the event we have a new student. But you should be able to already access the course. If you can access it, you've already done your single sign-on.
So when you say access the course, is it like through Moodle? Or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can see everything. You wouldn't be able to
access Moodle unless you'd already done your single sign-on. And I've already had you in a class, so I know you can access
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, absolutely. But you did remind me that when it comes to the first assignment, so there's another professor that really likes to have this, so I don't like to remove the feature, but the OneDrive assignment, I use that as extra credit. So if you guys are able to complete it, great. If not, don't worry about it. I'm going to leave it blank throughout the term and I'll consider it extra credit and it won't reflect negatively on your grade if you choose not to. She likes to have assignments submitted through OneDrive. I don't. I like to have them through Moodle. It's easier for me to grade. That's just how the other professor chooses to teach this. So I opted to make that extra credit just because, especially on campus, it was very odd because I would say probably like a third of the computers just wouldn't work with the OneDrive. It was very weird. And it was a bigger pain than it was worth. And honestly, we're getting away from the OneDrive, and a lot of companies are moving towards the cloud, or even doing like the smart sheets, kind of like Google Sheets, or to where the document's live and anyone can get in and edit it, or SharePoint or Teams. That's really where businesses are going right now, as opposed to doing like these OneDrive documents. So that's the other reason why I personally don't feel that it brings enough to warrant you guys wasting your time. So let me get over to the syllabus real quick. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, so can you guys see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. So, okay, so for those who haven't had me, I give out my personal cell phone number. It's listed here. The reason I do this is two things. A, I do have a full-time job outside of Lynn Benton. I like to be available for you guys, and I will answer you during business hours. I don't want you to think that I'm not going to be available. It's just I might not be able to answer a phone call during the kind of 7 to 4 time frame. And then I obviously come home and I have really loud children, so that also makes it kind of hard. So I prefer you text, only because it's easier for me to answer that way. So I'm happy if you guys text me. I try to respond as quickly as I can. If I don't respond to you via text within a couple hours, please feel free. You're not bugging me, because I'm here to empower you guys and ensure your success as much as I possibly can. And I feel that part of that responsibility means being accessible to you guys. I know that some professors say, oh, give me 48 hours to respond to an email. I had professors that I'm still waiting on a return email from, and they're just not coming. So, I just don't want to be that type of person. I like to be as available as I can for you guys. The caveat with this is that if you guys wait until an hour or two before something is assigned, you start blowing me up at 9 o'clock saying, I need help with this and I don't understand this. The emergency on your part, the delay on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. Okay. So I get that life happens. I realize that we have homework. I have raised a family, worked full time, and gone to college full time. I've done that all, and I know that it's hard to balance. So I understand that. But if you're procrastinating consistently or not turning in assignments consistently, I'm going to notice that trend. So I always tell people, make sure you reach out to me early and often. Don't wait until we're in week 10 and then say, oh, I don't like my grades. I'm going to send out probably around week 5 an announcement saying, hey, if you guys have issues with your grade, please reach out to me now, because you get to a point of no return. Especially in weeks like 6 through 8, that's when the assignments are going to get really complicated and really tricky. And I want to make sure you guys are as successful as possible. Okay, so like I said, you're welcome to text. The only thing I will not discuss in a text is grades, because I have no way to prove that it's you. Versus from a legal perspective, I can answer via Zoom, obviously, because then I can see you, or via email. Okay, email etiquette. You're welcome to send me an email. Like it states here, if it's more than 150 words or a quick question, it probably means we need to have more of a face-to-face, whether that's a phone call or Zoom meeting. It's your preference. I don't mind. I am available. I kind of put it up here at the top. I'm available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by appointment. If those days just don't work for you, I can make something work Thursday or Tuesday. My times are just a lot more limited during those days. Okay. As far as emails, please let me know what class you're in. That way I know what to reference. And then if I don't respond to an email within 24 hours, because sometimes I might click on it, read it, think I've responded in my head, and then I don't hear back from you, so I assume you're happy, and then turns out I didn't respond to you at all. So if that happens, if you don't hear back from me in 24 hours, either text me or email me again and check in, okay? You're not bugging me ever, so just make sure that you guys reach out as early, as often as you can. So the required text, it's online, it's located at the top, just under the announcements. If there's any issues with you getting the text, you can ask Lynn Benton to print it. I want to say, and they'll print it and like hole punch it, and you can put it in like a 3-ring binder. but I want to say it costs like 25 bucks for them to print it for all the supplies, because some people are just visual learners and need an actual book, and I get that. So you will have to pay for that. The other thing is for Mike Spikes. So the simulation that we're doing with Mike Spikes, like I said, you get to run this cool company and you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for the marketing. You're responsible for what celebrities you bring in to help market and advertise. You're responsible for how many different types of bikes you produce, how much inventory you want to keep, what's your burn rate, all that stuff, including finances. Do we take out a loan? Do we sell some stock? Do we buy back some stock? All of these different levers are all going to be at your guys' disposal. The way that Mike Spikes works is every week you have something called a rollover, which is where you go in and make business decisions based on what you want to do for that week. After you make the decisions, then you hit submit, it saves it. Then at Sunday night around midnight, it'll roll over and it'll show you your guys' new, your return on investment. It'll show you what your stock price is selling at. And the indicator you're doing good is it either keeps going up or it's going down. That's your indicator. If your stock price goes down and your net value and all those things, if they start going down, you know you're making wrong decisions. So that's when you need to do some tweaks. So each week you'll have the opportunity to make different tweaks to the business in order to try to turn that curve or try to make it successful. As far as the Mike Spikes program, each week a new element will get added. So week one, it's like the basics where it's like you get like a bike you're already making, you can choose to make another bike. Week two, I want to say you can start taking out loans. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but each week a new element is added. So you'll have all the same ones you had before, but then it kind of builds on the previous week. Okay. It's a very easy system. It's pretty cut and dry. As of last term, it was still $49 to buy it. So it might have gone up a few bucks. When they do increase the price, they usually only increase it by like $5 at a time. So you guys will have to pay for that. I do not know if you can use financial aid to bill for that. I know that you can buy the registration code through the bookstore. So I haven't had to purchase books with financial aid in way too long that I'm not going to even admit it. So I don't know how that works and if you guys can do that. So check with the bookstore, but I do know you can either buy the code online or you can buy it in the bookstore. It's the same price either way. In the bookstore, they'll give you just a sealed envelope that'll have the code written in it. Okay. As far as the passwords and all that stuff, I tend to do it because I want to say the school gets charged for every single person that we join into the Mike Spikes program. And so I don't like to add students that are going to be dropping the class. So that's why I do this on week 2. So for all those who are wondering, like, why can't I log on? It's because I haven't given you your log on information yet. So I have to submit that. I usually do it week 2 after I've seen who drops out and who's not going to be sticking around. And so I'll submit that and get to you guys, and you'll get all your log on information. And I'll also put you guys in teams. I pick the teams completely at random. If for some reason you feel like you need to be on a certain team, or maybe you see a classmate that you've worked with in the past, you can request it from me. But I would want those requests no later than this Friday. So otherwise this weekend, I'm going to go through and completely pick at random. Okay. As far as the Mike Spikes program and how it works with the rollovers, we're going to do a simulated game where your guys are going to do one whole round just by yourselves. And you guys are going to do I want to say it's like 7 or 8 rounds that you guys will do by yourself just to see how it works. I don't give it very many points just because of the fact that it's just for you guys to familiarize yourself with how the Mike Spikes program works and all that. So it's pretty hard to fail that. Basically, not doing it is the only way you can fail it. I'll give you an automatic A if you just go in and do it. Okay. And then normally we do it in class in person. So I'll send this out as an announcement too, is that once you guys get your password and your information and you log in, I'll do a demonstration and I'll record it for you guys as far as how to go in, how to operate it, how to do it. Normally I would show you guys that in class, and then we would go through the whole rollover process in one class. Since this is going to be more led by you guys can do it at your convenience. And then at the end, you'll just have to send me an email and let me know what your ROI was and what your final stock price was, just so I know that you did it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about any of that I've thrown at you so far? moving on. Okay, so course description, I've already kind of went over it, but essentially this class is really going over and applying more of the technical skills. BA 101A was really laying the foundations of what's a business, what are the different types of businesses, management theory, very lightly, you know, those things. This is more of applying technical skills. I think this class should have actually been technically more of an Excel class, because I do believe you'll learn different technical business facets from this, but the assignment load with Excel is so heavy that I really feel like that's what this class is really more aimed around, is being more of an Excel class. Like I said, you will still learn other concepts and other things like that, but it is going to be very heavy on that. There's probably not going to be a ton of textbook reading other than just going through and using it for instructions, or if you feel like you want to understand maybe like, well, why would we use a VLOOKUP over an HLOOKUP? Those types of things are in the book, but you guys can also ask me that as well. So the objective, so here's the breakdown as far as the percentages. So the section assignments, this is the Excel assignments, all 35% of your grade. Okay, so you'll notice there's section assignments and then there's in-class assignments. The in-class ones are the same thing. It's an Excel sheet that's already, the template that's already pre-set up for you that has instructions that come with it. So as far as the difficulty between the two, you're not going to really notice a difficult, like the section assignments are not any trickier than the in-class. There's just more section assignments, hence why it's worth 35%. You'll usually have about anywhere from probably 2 section assignments a week, 1 to 2, depending how intense they are, and then you'll always have like 1 a week in-class assignment. Okay, the timed assessments are what I referred to earlier, where you have the 3 timed assessments as opposed to a traditional midterm and then a final, and those are worth 4% each. That way the distribution, you know, if you totally hose one of the timed assessments, at the end of the day, it's worth 4%. So I felt like that was kind of fair to distribute it that way. The other thing is mic spikes. So this is really huge, 20% of your grade, which means if you guys don't do this, at best, you can only get a B, and that's if you ace everything else. I'm yet to have a student ace this class. I get a lot of A students, but I've never had anyone get higher than 95%. If anyone wants to take that as a personal challenge, feel free. But as of right now, this plays a huge part. I teach this separately. So some people will say, okay, if you've got a group and your group submits something, you automatically get points even if you didn't contribute. I don't think that's fair. And probably because I'm still bitter from my experiences, you know, going through college. And I had a student who he just didn't show up to the final for the presentation. So we had to jump in and do his slides for him. And it was really chaotic, and I just didn't think it was fair. And so the peer evaluation is worth 8%. So this 8% is literally just what your teammates write about you. As far as how much you participated, did you participate a lot, a little? Were you really responsive? Did you contribute a few ideas? Did you write the papers yourself and contribute more ideas than other people? So know that that's a huge chunk, okay? If your group turns in your paperwork for you and your name is not on it, you will not get credit. So when I don't see someone's name on a paper, I assume that means that that person didn't participate. Now, sometimes we're trusting a group member to submit the paper for us, just like BA 101A. If you're paranoid or you don't trust your coworkers, oh my gosh, your colleagues, and you want to submit one yourself, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me, but I only require you just to submit 1 copy per the group, have everyone's name and information on the paper. If that person didn't participate, do not include their name. And I also want an email as soon as you notice members are not participating. Okay. Now, let's say someone is just out for the week or something like that. I get that some people will miss stuff, but last term, I had a few groups who were just really struggling with the participation, and it really put a lot of pressure, undue pressure on a lot of students. And so I will take this into account with final grades. I also reserve the right that if I feel like you guys have worked really hard and all your assignments are turned in, or maybe you only missed 1 or 2, I reserve the right to bump your grade up to something higher. So if I see students who, you know, maybe they have a 68% at the end of the term, but maybe they struggled with tests, but they turned in everything, and somehow they still got that low of a grade, I'm going to bump it to passing because I can see that you made the effort. So just know that for me, an effort goes a long way. So if I can look at the grade book and I can see that, even if you tried, and you failed the quiz, you tried, and that's really important to me. So I'm not going to bump your grade 15%, if you have a C and really want that B plus, but I do take that into consideration, okay? The Mike Spikes writing assignments, this is worth 8%. These are the write-ups that I was telling you guys about. Like I said, just a paragraph or two that kind of summarizes what you did that week. So an example would be if you went in and purchased back some stocks to try to make your stock price go up a little bit, I would expect to see that we changed the price from, this to this, or we bought back some stock and now we only have this many shares left that are public, or, however that is. But just to give me a brief summary of kind of what you did. What I don't want to see in a write-up is, did the Mike Spikes, it was cool, our stock price went up. I don't want to see any of that. So I want to see very detailed stuff about the changes that you guys made, okay? Quizzes that we mentioned earlier, those are 10%. The timed assessment's 12, and then the single player Mike Spikes is for 5%. This is the one I was telling you about that I normally go through in class, where you guys will just do all the 8 rollovers. It takes maybe, I guess it depends how many times you make changes, but it takes about an hour to do the whole assignment. And like I said, that's an easy 5%, because for me, that's a pass or fail. If you attempt it and do it, and I know your stock price, you get an A. So easy, okay? All right. Now for this class, I can't tell if you're absent, so we can kind of ignore this. However, if I see a significant amount of assignments missing, if I see that, if I get continuous emails from your group members that didn't participate the past 5 weeks, know that it's going to be very hard to pass this class, okay? Let's see here. Just a little caveat that everyone probably knows about by now, but if you feel like you are not succeeding in the class, or you feel like your grades are going to be too hard to raise, you have until the 7th week of the term to drop without receiving a failing grade. If you have any special accommodations of any kind, so if you need extra time with tests or anything like that, please reach out to me and reach out to CFAR as well, so that they can let me know that you've got special accommodations. I'm happy to work with you guys within reason. I've had some folks who, they want extra time on tests just because they just feel like they want it. So that's not a good enough excuse. You have to be able to have a justifiable reason or need. As far as the course progression, so you guys, I'm hoping you've already reviewed the syllabus, or at least, peeked around in the class and kind of seen what things look like. So everything is, like I said, going to be due on Sundays. So this Sunday, the 10th, is when these first assignments are due. So as far as the single player begins, normally I do it the 2nd week of class. So I'm actually going to go in. I just haven't had time yet. I'm going to go change this, because I know that I'm not going to have time to go over and do all the login information. So we're going to do that. So we'll make that for next week, and we'll do the rollover. So we'll have 2 assignments next week for Mike Spikes. That gives you guys time this week to do the in-class assignments and quiz 1. Okay. So, and if I get this Mike Spikes stuff this weekend, that's my goal, is to have this set up this weekend. It won't be due Sunday, but I will have it to where it'll be due the following Sunday on the 17th. Okay. All right. And then your first timed exam will be on the 24th. Like I said, it's going to cover concepts that are going to be in the prior weeks. Each timed exam is not cumulative. You might see certain things, like in the timed exam here, it's gonna tell you, to fill in this with a certain color and make this bold. Those little types of things you'll probably see in subsequent, but any major tricky concepts they're not going to be layered. So just know that these exams are not cumulative. It really just kind of covers the information that you learned in the weeks leading up to it. So for timed exam 2, it's going to be all of the stuff that you learn in this week here and then this week here. Okay. All right. And then timed exam 3 is a separate exam. And then we've got our final. So the final, same thing. It's not cumulative. It'll just cover what we've learned in this week and this week. Okay. The final, actually, in my opinion, I will tell you guys this right now, this test here will be your hardest, hands down. This will be the trickiest one. So put a star by that to study, or make that like a really kumbaya kind of calm week for yourself, because that one will be the trickiest. Your final is actually going to be easier than that, I'll be honest. So not to say your final's a cakewalk, but as far as in my opinion, this is the one that the folks typically struggle with. Okay. And then peer evaluations and everything, those are going to be due the week before finals week on the 14th. So that week you'll have your 8th and final Mike Spikes rollover, and then you'll need to have your peer evaluations where you write up kind of how the team worked together, how your company did overall as far as how it ran. I would probably expect that to be no more than like a page and a half. Okay. And so we've already kind of discussed peer evaluations, all that stuff. So let me kind of stop real quick. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know I'm talking fast and covering a lot of tracks, but I don't want to keep you guys too late tonight.
I have a question about like the grades on Mike's Bike. So it's in the grading it talked about the shareholder stock. So does that mean like the higher the shareholder stock value is valued at, like the higher our grade will be, or like how does that work?
Perfect, great question. So for the shareholders, what I do is that the highest scoring team will end up getting, I want to say I give the highest scoring team 100% on that assignment. And then as far as for the rollovers. Now, if they don't turn in their write-ups, then they're not going to get 100% on the Mike's bags, but that's why the rollovers are just as important as the write-up. So you'll get 100% for the first scoring team, and then I basically just go down based on the teams. I go down 3% for each one. So second place gets 97, 94% for third place, and so on. So I think the lowest grade that you can earn, I think the lowest that I'll give folks is an 80%. So now if I see that you didn't do rollovers, then yeah, you're not going to get your 80%. So make sure you do the rollovers every week, because it'll show me that you guys haven't done them. But yeah, I mean, the worst you're going to do, as long as you get on and do them religiously every week, is a B. So like I said, it's tedious. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to work at. But this class, there's a lot of flexibility here to be able to earn a really good passing grade, as long as you just contribute to the assignments. This class, as far as the Excel assignments, in my opinion, some of them are very hard, and sometimes the instructions are not very intuitive, and they might be kind of hard to understand because of how they're worded. So I always tell people, clarify with me. I will do my best to explain it to you, or we can do a Zoom meeting and I can share my screen and I can show you how to do, kind of guide you through the assignment a little bit. I'm not going to do it for you, but I will certainly guide you guys through it. However, I want to implore you, I would rather you give it your best shot at an assignment and submit me something that just has anything and I give you 50% than getting a 0, because it's going to bring your grade average way down. I would say out of all of my students, the handful I get each term that do not pass the class, if they had just submitted something, an effort, and me giving them 50% for trying, they probably would have gotten a C out of the class. So please don't be one of those people that submits nothing. You'd rather have half the points than 0 points. Okay. Does that kind of answer your question, Allie? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Is there any other questions so far?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, like for you said for this week we're not doing for me because I took your class before. So in class assignment 1, but I have to do number 2, section 1, and then the quiz, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Mike Spikes, I want to make sure that I've got everything lined up and that I've given folks time to drop the class if they're going to drop it, because then I have to send over the registration and all that to the Mike Spikes company, let them know who's here and all of that. So I'll probably do that Friday, and then that way, hopefully, if they get back to me in time, then I'll have your guys' log-ons for you first thing Monday, if not by the weekend. Sometimes they're pretty quick at getting back and I can get it same day. So if that's the case, then you guys are more than welcome to do the rollover this week. I'm not going to grade you down ever for turning in anything early. And then that way I can get those grades graded and turned around quicker for you. So, but yeah, don't worry about the rollover until next week. Okay.
Okay, I tried to do the Mike's bike and it did not work for me. So
It won't
to
because
log,
I
okay,
have to reach out to the Mike's Bikes company and I have to give all the student names and your guys' email, and then they will actually reach out to you guys and they'll send you an email saying, welcome to Mike's Bikes, here's your registration and password.
okay, so I look forward to that either Friday or Sunday. Okay, thank you.
If you don't get it Friday, you'll probably get it Monday. They're, like I said, they're pretty quick to respond. Sometimes it's same day, but sometimes it does take an extra business day. But you guys should have it no later than Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably like talk to you again before we leave. Just going over the assignment number 2 to take a
No,
look.
absolutely. So, and anytime you guys have, and like I said, I would expect this class. I mean, some stuff, you know, there are some people who take this where you're an Excel whiz and you don't know how to do it. The only thing I do tell people is that even if you are an Excel whiz and you're a genius, you still have to do the assignment. I had a student one time who he's like, oh, I work in Excel every day, so I just didn't feel like I needed to take the assignments. And I was like, well, that's why you didn't pass, sir. So you still have to do it even if you're an Excel genius. Okay. So in-class assignments, like I said, you're going to learn little elements of how these will help you with, you know, operations management, human resources, etc. And it'll go over it in the online book, the OER that you guys have that's supplied. It's already in Moodle. It should be. And so that'll go over that. And so I don't expect you guys to do a ton of reading of the textbook. Sometimes it can be helpful for reference, but I don't expect you guys to do any reading with that. Okay. So we already went over my spikes, the timed exams. So just kind of like the additional comments that I'll throw in is that because this is kind of a class that's more led at your guys' pace, I'm here to help you guys as often as I can. Like I said, if it needs to be a Zoom meeting where I share my screen and walk through it with you, or if you just have a quick question and just need to go over it in an email over the phone, I'm here for you guys. Like I said, I don't see the purpose of doing a lecture because it would literally be a 5-minute lecture. So I'll probably send out announcement style instead, where I say, hey, this week, here's what's due as a reminder. Here's the theme of kind of what we're learning about. And I'll give kind of like a brief thing about how it can apply to the real world and what situations, and then just kind of leave it up to you guys to get it done. And if you, like I said, if you have questions about the assignment, or if there's a due date that's funky or doesn't match what's in the syllabus, at the end of the day, the syllabus wins. So if something is wrong, always default to the syllabus. Okay. So I think I went over everything in the syllabus. Do you guys have any other general questions for the class? Expectations, anything like that?
I had a question. I emailed you earlier and we were talking about like a Chromebook versus a Mac,
Okay.
and just can you kind of maybe explain, like, because you said we
Yes.
might run into issues later.
Another great question. So the difference between, so first off, the OER book that was written, it's going to have screenshots of kind of what you're going to be doing. It's going to look different from a Mac because it was written, the book was written for a PC. So that's going to be issue number one, where folks are, that I noticed that a lot of the students who brought, you know, their MacBooks to class would say, this picture doesn't look similar, what's going on? And I'm like, that's because this was written for a PC. With that, the Excel that's available on Macs is slightly different from what's on PCs. So there might be certain shading or colors that aren't available, or the color will be a different title or something like that. I'm not going to be a stickler. If it says, you know, because like one of the assignments, it'll tell you pick orange at 10%, or, you know, whatever the color or percentage tells you. I am more concerned that you get the right color, because I realize that we're all working with different versions of Excel. Some people have Macs. I'm not going to grade someone down because you picked the wrong shade of orange. Now, if you pick green and it asks for orange, yes, I'll grade that down. Unless you have a special accommodation and you tell me you're colorblind, then I'll accept that at that point. But as far as that, you know, or when it comes to formatting, you know, if it tells you to put it in bold and you only did one section of it in bold, you know, I might grade you down on that. But as far as some of the formatting issues that you'll run into between a Mac and an Excel, just give me a heads up. that you have a Mac, so that then because I usually actually keep notes of my students now that I'm teaching this online as opposed to in person, where I can see that you brought your computer. That way it just helps remind me that, okay, they didn't hose this, there's probably a formatting issue. So if you run into them, please let me know. But at the end of the day, to me, formatting, yes, is important. I think it can help make a document look more professional, more put together, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm more concerned about you guys learning how to manipulate cells and do formulas and more of the complex stuff than if you guys know how to put something in color or italics. So that's just me. There's certain things I'm a stickler about. That's not one of them, is, but don't ignore it. I don't want you to think that if you don't do it, you'll get graded down. So, but as long as I can see that you made an attempt, you'll get partial credit at a minimum. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then you said to give you a heads up, should we like send you an email now saying that we have a Mac, or just like every assignment?
Just give me an email, shoot me an email and just say, hey, I have a Mac, and I don't have access to a PC, and that's totally fine, because like I said, then I'll keep notes. And then if you are working on an assignment, before you submit it, just give me a heads up and say, hey, had a hard time finding this and it wouldn't let me do this type of, because I know with Macs, when we get to the graphing, the Macs, the graph buttons on the Mac are very different from what's in a PC Excel, and it's tricky to work with. And I want to say they even have different titles, because there's also, there's bar graphs and, plot lines and all that stuff. I want to say they even have different names. So when we get to that point, just send me a heads up and say, hey, I picked this, scatter plot. It looks kind of like what's going on in the book, so I went with it, and I'll accept it. So, but if it asks you for like a scatter plot and you give me a bar graph, then I'm not going to give you credit for that, because you can look at the picture in the book and see kind of what they're looking for and what I'm going to be looking for. So, but again, if you need clarification on that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other general questions or anything about that's in the syllabus or what to expect from the class?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused about, sorry. Can you send an email to be exact? What book do we need to be looking at?
So hold on, let me. Give me a second. I will just show you. Oh, stop. Okay, so when we come into Moodle, all right, so we come to the class, this is it right here. Okay, so you'll see it'll say OER, ask you to sign in, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course it does. Oh, that's why it's trying to do. Ugh. Yeah, this is tricky. Well, anyway, it shouldn't do that. This should pull up for you guys. If for some reason it doesn't pull up, let me know, because I don't know why it's giving me a sign-on issue, but it shouldn't do that for you guys. Okay. So let me know ASAP. Okay, Serena, if that doesn't work for you. Or
okay,
anybody
will
else.
do.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the OER. You'll pull this up, but in general, when you guys go to do your assignments, so well, let's see. So for instance, you guys, the week's not open for you guys right now, but at least you can see it on my screen. So right here, these, section 1, assignment 2 instructions, this is more or less what your instructions will look like. So it'll tell you, here's what to do. It's chapter 1, CIP exercise 2. So this is referring to where it's going to be in the book. So it's under chapter 1, SIP 2, and then it'll just tell you here, enter 2019, and here's all the other instructions. So this is basically what it will look like. So clearly you can see that this is an easier assignment. There's only a couple steps in there, okay? But that's essentially what you guys starting in week 2 will be looking for. And so you'll have the instructions, and then you'll have, let's see. So right here, this is going to be the starter file. And then it'll have the instructions right here in the assignment. So we'll just kind of look at this one real quick. Since I've got you guys here. Oh, stop. Come on. Okay. Okay. So here's your guys's, this is it. So it's already put together, and all you're going to do is follow the instructions based on what's here, and it'll list it out for you. So I must have closed them already. So yeah, so that's how you guys will do that. So everyone will come with a template. If for some reason the template file is missing, I usually go back through and double check to make sure everything's there, but I'm human, I can make mistakes, obviously. So just let me know if something's missing, but I usually try to make sure everything's there. So yeah, so you guys will just go through, follow the instructions on the template. As the class goes along, the template files will get larger as far as there will be multiple tabs down here where there will be, you know, other information. In this case, it's just one tab, one sheet. So just know the assignments will get more intense as we move through the term. But like I said, if you guys can survive through week 8, then you'll do fine the rest of the course, because that's when it starts getting a lot easier once we move into graphing and all of that and the pivot tables. But really 6 through 8 are going to be the tough weeks. So there's that, and then you'll just submit them here. Do not submit your Excel assignments as a PDF, because then I can't go through and check the formulas or look to verify that you guys did things correctly. So, and I will mark you a 0, and I will put a comment saying, please resubmit as an Excel file. I won't grade you down for it if you submit it that way the first couple times, but if it's a habit every single week, I will start grading you down, because I can, and a PDF is great for an Excel file if you want people to just see numbers, like if it's an accounting file, or a bill of sales, or, you know, something like that. But in this case, I want to be able to look and see the formulas and follow what you guys did. That's part of the grading. So hopefully that makes sense. Any other questions or anything?
Yes. Sorry, but somebody else can go first.
Okay. Yeah, Jen.
So how much time should we be setting aside for the simulations each week?
So the simulation, I think, is the least time consuming out of all of your assignments. The simulation really just depends on how into it you get. I have some classes where they really look at this as a competition and really want to do their best. And I think that the simulation, as far as what you're going to go in and change, that could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. I guess it just depends like how much you really want to go in and tweak things. But I would say on average, most people can go in and do their weekly, the rollover, as far as where you're manipulating and changing different things in the game. Most people can get that done, I would say, in a half hour or less. And then your write-up, probably another half hour or less, actually just writing it together. So I would say an hour
week,
for
or is
that.
that a day?
Oh, an hour just in the week, 1 hour throughout the week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
hour
not
a day
this.
is like,
Yeah, no, like I said, this class, as far as the mic spikes, that's going to be, if you guys are really swamped with assignments, that's something where I think you could confidently say, you know, I'm going to push mic spikes towards closer to the end of the week and work on these Excel assignments first, because they're going to be way more time consuming, especially when we get into the later weeks. There are some Excel assignments where it takes students a couple hours. So if your assignments are taking 5 or 6 hours, then that could be a problem. But I don't think any of the assignments should take you longer than maybe 2 to 3 hours.
okay. And the PDF at the top, or the student resources, is the Mike Spikes peer assessment. That's not due until the end of the term? Or is that a weekly thing?
Yeah. So the peer assessment, yep, that's due at the end of the term, because I want to be able to see and have feedback on how you guys felt that your team members acted. So what you will have to do each week is the write-up. And all I expect in the write-up, like I said, about 250 to 300 words, just summarizing the actions you made that week, and make sure everyone's names are on there, because if your name isn't on it, you're not getting a grade.
Okay, and so there's only one write-up per 2 to 3 people?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can delegate and say, hey, you know, week 1, I'll take it, week 2, you do, or if you guys all want to contribute, I'm delegating that to you guys as teams, how you want to handle that. So it's totally up to you. As long as I get 1 document submitted per team, that's fine. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I was going over the assignment that's for in class, assignment 2, 7 through 51.
Mhm.
So I'm confused. There's a lot of reading in it. So Is it, what do we have to do from there? Like create a spreadsheet and then load it up with,
Hold on a second. I don't.
Yeah, I
Well,
was confused about that too.
yep. Hold on.
yeah, there was no instruction like you showed us for week 2, so that's why I was confused.
So, yeah, I don't know how this got in here. This is your guys' book. This is like the
Yeah,
entire
this-
book. Please don't read this entire book this week. I mean, if you want
I went
some
through
big
halfway.
if you want some major extra credit, yes, read this book this whole week. No, sorry, this is the book, and I didn't put this here, so I just assumed it was the instructions. So yeah, so there you go. This is the book. I'm going to move this file because that's outrageous. So I will move that out, and then assignment, section 1, assignment 1. So here's the instructions for section 1, assignment 1, and then here's the file.
Okay, so we don't have the in class, just to make sure.
Well, the in-class one, there's no file there. So I'm going to, yeah, because I just don't, let's see, it says pages. That's so frustrating.
So that's the entire book?
Yeah, that's the entire book. So I need to figure out if someone put in the wrong file for this, or kind of what's, this isn't going to be one of those terms. So if files don't match, such as if you pull open an assignment and you're like, weird, these instructions don't go with this, please let me know. And I might even give you guys extra time. The first term I taught this, they had just set up the class, and not that the class itself was new, but structured the way it is now. And it was an interesting ride, I'll just say that much. So if for some reason things aren't matching, but yeah, this is the book, and I don't understand why that's like that, but then doesn't have that file. I will still probably have you guys do the section 1 assignment and the quiz for this week. If I can find this file and access it, I'll probably get this set up for you guys. And if so, then I'll send out an announcement saying, hey, found the file. So if you guys want to cross your fingers and hope I can't find the file so that you won't have to have an extra assignment this week, then that's fine, no guarantees. But I'm going to reach out and see if I can find it, because that's super odd that's not there, and that's the book, because it should have, yeah. So that's very weird. Okay. I'll take care of that.
So
though.
I might have already read through the book because I thought that's what
Of
we were
course
supposed
you
to
did.
do. And they had like walkthroughs, and so I did all those too, but like I don't have to worry about that, right?
No.
Okay,
No,
perfect.
but 10 points for being an overachiever, though. So yeah, so here's the deal. So when it comes to this one, I'm going to try to find the file because I do feel like this is important. But if I can't get it by tomorrow, well, but it's already Wednesday. Just ignore it. I'm not going to have you guys do it, but I am going to move this file out and put it up top and actually title it the book so that you guys have access to it. Okay.
So what do we do for quiz 1?
For quiz 1, actually, wait, hold on. Online book. Wait. Yeah, see, that's so. I just think that's so weird that the wrong file there. Quiz 1, you're still going to have elements from quiz 1 that will have to do with section 1, assignment 1. So
Okay.
yeah, you'll still have to do the quiz. And then obviously you can use your book for that too, for pulling in information. And the quiz even tells you pages 7 through 53. So at least you know where you're looking if you choose to use it for that. Okay. So, but the online book, it'll tell you guys here 53 through 92 for the next assignment. So it'll have all this information here for you guys. But if there's, like I said, there's a lot of busy work here. And this class, I would say, I probably grade more lenient than any of my others, because I think you guys are learning very difficult concepts considering where you guys are at in your academic careers. To me, I feel like this is something you would learn probably at more of a sophomore or even junior level when we get towards the end of the term with some of the more difficult concepts. So I do grade this more leniently as far as if you, like I said, my biggest concern is you guys make an effort and try. I would rather you write a note off to the side saying, I just couldn't get this formula to work, but I tried, because then I can come in and go, oh, all you needed was an extra argument and you missed the argument, or you missed the comma, or you were missing a digit, because then I can tell you where you went wrong, and then you can go try to fix it yourself so that you can pull it together. But yeah, making an effort in this class will go a long way with me. I'll just say that much. Okay. Any other questions?
I just want to clarify. So this week, the in-class assignment number 1 is extra credit, and then we have to do the section 1 assignment and the quiz, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So this and this is all I'm going to expect from you guys this week. And then the mic spikes, we'll do that next week. So next week, there is going to be a lot more to do. So, I mean, you guys can see here, we have an in-class assignment, there's a quiz, there's a section 1 and 2 assignment with applying skills. So next week's going to be crazy. What I will probably end up doing is I might, because this week I'm already letting go. See, I'm not great of a professor. I'm already getting rid of assignments the first week. See, aren't you guys so lucky? So I will probably open week 2 up a little early in the event you guys want to move forward. So I'm okay with folks working ahead. I usually will not open this more than a week at a time ahead, just because there are so many assignments. I don't think I see very many students able to work ahead more than maybe 1 or 2 assignments. So I'll open this up just since this week is pretty light, and let you guys, if you want to move forward, then you're welcome to work into week 2. Okay.
When will you be extending the time for the quiz?
Yep, I'm going to go through, because I have to manually do that. So I will go through and I will make sure that I give you guys that extra 5 minutes, because in my opinion, I feel like my students' test scores were way better when they had that extra 5 minutes. So that's just my opinion. Does that mean that you guys are just able to flip through a book and find answers quicker? I don't think so. I really think that some people just need, I know myself that when I read a multiple choice question, I'll pick the correct answer, and then I'll play a mind game for 10 minutes of, okay, no, maybe it is A. Okay, no, maybe it's B. So, and I realize other people do that too. And I can't expect you guys to just have something in 30 quick seconds and move on. Some questions are that easy. Some are a little trickier. So I'll just go ahead and make this available for you guys right now. So that way, if you guys do want to move ahead, just because this week is a little thin, totally fine by me. So any other questions or anything while I'm working on this?
I have one last question about the timed exams. How are those like different from the quizzes? Are they just like Excel stuff? Because I know the quizzes are timed. So how?
Yes. So the way that those work, I'm debating, because they're not like the quizzes where it's a set of questions. It's an Excel assignment. And normally you guys would take it in class with me, and you'd have the hour and a half or whatever to work on it. I think that I went ahead and decided that I'm going to leave the assignment open and the test to submit for 24 hours, and you guys just have to submit it to me that day. I'm going to trust that you guys are going to have academic integrity, and you're not going to make it a group effort, and you're not going to, and I do look and analyze to see if you guys are copying and pasting what other people put, because I've had some people, I even had a student that forgot to delete their teammate's name when they submitted an assignment. So I mean, I am looking for that, so just be aware. But yeah, as long as you guys know not to make it a group effort, then I'm fine with just leaving the quiz day, or the timed exam. I will just go ahead and leave it open for the whole day, but I would assume you guys could probably get the bulk of it done in an hour. So it's just too hard for me to set that up where you guys have an hour to open it up and sit, because I mean, it's an Excel assignment. I can't embed that into Moodle, unfortunately, like I can the quizzes. So that's again where we're going to be a little flexible this term and do things a little differently, and that's going to be towards your guys' benefit, so that you'll have all day to complete the assignment. If it takes you 2 hours, I'm never going to know. I'm just going to assume that you got it done in an hour. Okay.
Yeah, and will it? I just want to make sure like it won't like shut out the assignment, so like we won't get any.
No, because it's going to be exactly like the in-class assignment, where you're going to open it up, you're going to have a file, and then you'll have pages. So in this case, for this particular assignment, continue off in class assignment 2. So you're going to take the file that you guys submitted from the prior week, and you're just going to make adjustments to that original file. And it'll always tell you right here, continue off of in class assignment or section 2, assignment 1, or whatever. So just make sure. And that's where I tell people, I think that would be the biggest thing that I think causes students to start going downhill in their grade is they'll go, gosh, I got in class assignment here, I got a quiz, I got this, and I've got, you know, a quiz for my other class, and I got all this other stuff. So they'll go, I'm just not going to do section 1 assignment 2. Then they come to the next week and see that it's a continuation of the previous week, and then they're doing 2 assignments extra, or doing an extra assignment that week, and it's now become harder. So that's where I advise people, you never know what assignments are going to be a continuation, so don't skip assignments. Like I said, I'm doing you a favor by telling you submit something partial that you've at least tried, because in the event that you have one of these files that's a continuation, that then you're not scrambling last minute to do an extra assignment on top of all your other work. Okay. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. So you guys are welcome to reach out to me. Like I said, you can text, you can email, you can call. I don't guarantee I'll answer a phone call, just depending what time it is and where I'm at, but you can always text. I'm pretty quick at responding to those. As far as the rest of the class, good luck. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to answer questions. I'm happy to go through an assignment with you guys. If you wait until an hour before the assignment's due at 10 o'clock on like a Friday night or Saturday night, or, you know, whatever, well, I guess if they're doing Sunday, on a Sunday night, but if you wait until like the weekend and you're like, hey, I need this right now, I might not be available. So don't take the chance of messaging me at 8 p.m. on Sunday and hoping I can log on and work for this with you guys. That's why I say, try to work on Excel beginning of the week, save Mike Spikes to the end, just because the Excel is way more time consuming, especially as we go throughout the term and they get more difficult. Okay. And then as far as assignments go, like I said, excuse me, goodness, no late work. But if you're going to turn it in late and you can submit it and let me know early in advance, I might give partial credit. It depends on my mood that week. So, but for the most part, I don't accept it. But I feel like if there's an extenuating circumstance or something that caused it to be late and you're able to let me know before it's going to be late, such as like going out of town or something like that, I realize that people take vacations, and I think the way this class is set up, again, with the caseload and how intense the work is, it's very hard to say, I'm going to cram 2 weeks worth of stuff into this week so that I can be gone next week. I would almost rather in that situation, maybe you guys do a little working ahead and then maybe submit an assignment for partial credit later if you just can't handle that workload. But like I said, I'm going to be way more likely to work with you if you give me a heads up ahead of time. As you know, it's that whole ask permission as opposed to beg for forgiveness later. I'm not going to be very forgiving if I don't give you warning. Okay. So I will be in contact with you guys. I'll let you know as soon as I get Mike Spike submitted, because once I get it submitted, they usually turn it around and they'll email you guys your login information pretty quickly. After you guys get it, I'll be notified that you guys have your information, and then I'll probably go on. I don't know if I'm going to do live or do a recording, but either way, I'm going to do an introductory and have some type of a video that's going to show you guys the basics of how to go through Mike Spikes, what it looks like, how to do the rollovers, how to submit when you're ready to process the rollover. So I'll go through all that. Normally we would do that in class. So I'm not going to, Mike Spikes is not complicated. It's a pretty user-friendly program, but I'm not going to expect you guys to flail through that on your own. So I will help you guys with that as well. Okay. So the Excel assignments, I'm not going to go through those every week unless people specifically ask. There are a few assignments when we get towards the middle of the term that are tricky where I might do a recorded video for those just because I know how difficult they are, but don't ever hesitate to set an appointment with me. I'm happy to work with you guys. I'm usually more available in the evenings than during the day. I can do Friday afternoon. I only work half days on Friday, so I'm off by 12. So those days I am also able to do some afternoon if that's easier for you to do than evening. Okay. So, all right, folks, any other last minute questions before we close for the night? Okay, so it was great seeing all of you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. And then I'll see you guys online in class. Don't hesitate to reach out early and often. I'm here for you guys, okay? So, all righty. Have a good night, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.